New York Democrat Congressman Tom Suozzi has said he's all for rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. The congressman, though, has called Elon Musk's actions at the newly created DOGE clumsy and careless. Congressman Suozzi joins us this morning. I do hear, it's funny, some Democrats won't even say what you're saying, but some do and say we're just doing it. I want to do it. They sort of give lip service to it, but we're doing it wrong. Musk has copped to the notion that there will be mistakes, and then we'll try to rectify those mistakes. But initially, we're just trying to do things that have never been done, and you know that it's going to be difficult when you have entrenched people with interests in things like this. You're going to hear what you're saying from people who probably should be cut, that just want to protect their own position, right?
The government's too big. There's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. But what he's doing, like I said, is reckless.
Which part?
Well, when you fire the people who oversee the nuclear stockpile,
and they
say,
came back.
Oh my gosh, we made a mistake. We got to bring those people. But they lost
back.
their emails, and so they had a hard time bringing them back. When you fire the people who are responsible for overseeing the avian flu, and then you bring them back, it's like, oh, we might have missed another measles. They fired the people responsible for overseeing measles, and then you bring them back. And it's why are you getting rid of the low-wage probationary employees? Why not have a plan over a period of 2 years and say when the high-wage employees retire through normal attrition, we don't replace them? And we do consolidation and we use technology to do it more. When I was county executive in Nassau County, I reduced the workforce by 15, 20%. But I did it through attrition and through technology and through consolidation. And right now, it's kind of mean-spirited, it almost seems, and kind of reckless. And it's not the big dollars because there's going to be all these lawsuits from the civil service complaints and from the breaking of contracts. So let's have more of a plan.
We've heard, I'm not sure whether it's mean-spirited or not, but we have seen, some pearl clutching that I never heard about with layoffs in the private sector from certain people on the left.
Listen, I had this.
This happens, and in the private sector, you actually have to. You go out of business. If you were the government, you'd go out of business.
Some of this stuff is dangerous. This is not business. This is nuclear stockpile. This is avian flu.
But some of it is people that
I had a woman the other day.
People haven't showed up in weeks.
I don't believe that.
You really don't?
Well, I believe.
You've been to the DMV?
I like the idea of bringing people back from remote work. I think that's a good plan, and I think that's a good idea. But, a woman I met with the other day, she finally got a job that's a full-time, just college graduate, was working as a waitress, was working at different offices. She finally gets a job at the IRS. She's working on cases back to 2022, so there's this huge backlog. She's working there for less than a year, so she gets fired. The problem is she's 7 months pregnant, was counting on the health insurance she's due to have a baby, and she's going to lose her health insurance. So this is real-life stuff, and we got to figure out how can we accomplish these objectives of reducing the waste, fraud, and abuse in government, which is a good plan to do that. But let's work together to try and get that done. You
will vote no on extending the Trump tax cuts. Is that true?
If they would come the way they are now, yeah. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, and they're only doing $1.8 trillion in budget cuts, and those cuts will never happen because they're not going to cut Medicaid.
There'll be a tax increase on almost every American.
No, so what we should do is give all the tax cuts to people making under $400,000 a year.
No corporations should go back to 35?
No, corporates don't go back. Corporates are permanent. When they did this, they made corporate permanent. And they
so that stays at 25.
That would stay
20. Yeah, 21, I think.
And, I want to get the state and local tax deduction back.
How can that? That's all rich people.
No, it's not all rich people.
That's who benefits.
Well, they portray people in New York. If you're a cop and a teacher, husband and wife, and you're making $250,000 a year between the two of you, everybody in other places of the country says you're rich, but if you live in Long Island or New Jersey or New York, you're not rich. But if you're in Oklahoma, you're like, wow, these guys must be loaded.
You're going to leave a cap on. You're not going to get rid of it completely.
I'd like to get rid of it completely.
That would benefit a lot. The wealthy, that'd be the same criticism.
I would like to get rid of it completely. I don't think it's going to happen. I worked on 3 times I passed it through the House before. Once a full repeal, once a full repeal, second a full repeal, and once $80,000 cap, which would take care of like 98% of the people.
Very regressive, and you want to be progressive. I know you, don't you? It's very regressive.
I want to make the world a better place to live in. I want to help people who are going to work every day trying to have a better life. And we should be fighting for people who go to work every day.
Other than DOGE, you're on the record saying Trump's president. A lot of Democrats say all we got to do is resist. You say you're going to try to find ways to work with this administration.
I'm the co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. I'm the Democratic co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans meet together to try and find common ground. Very hard to do in this environment with everybody yelling and screaming at each other. But every problem we face in America, anybody who says, why don't you just, doesn't know what they're talking about. Every problem is complicated. So to solve complicated problems, you need people to sit across from each other who might disagree with each other on certain things.
Why are you looking at me? She's right.
I agree with her.
I said when you came in, I think I said some very nice things to you.
But let's try.
What did I say? You were almost a Republican.
Let's try. I'm a true blue, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat and a
blue
true
dog.
blue, dyed-in-the-world
blue dog.
American. And I want to try and make the world a better place to live in. So let's get back to whether you're a far left progressive or a far right conservative.
You got to work on them.
Everybody in America.
You got to work on.
Everybody in America should believe that if you're willing to work hard, in return for working hard, you have a decent life. You make enough money so you can buy a house, educate your kids, pay for health insurance, and retire without being scared. We've lost that in our country. Too many people are working hard.
Not DOGE, but $37 trillion. Did you think everything that Biden spent money on made sense?
No, not any.
We were below $1 trillion before the pandemic. Then we went to $4 trillion almost for a deficit. Then we went back down. Then the last 2 years, crazy. Back to $2 trillion.
The deficits are way too high in our country. It's hurting us. The uncertainty of the tariffs is hurting us, and I'm for certain tariffs, especially against
You
China.
are reciprocal ones, or
in China, they're getting away with this de minimis thing where they're sending all these goods in under $800, and we're not inspecting them, and that's where the fentanyl comes in.
We are inspecting them. There's too many packages coming in.
Right.
But they do intercept counterfeit goods and drugs and things like that. It's just it's like drinking from a fire hose, though.
It's too much.
The number of
it's too
packages.
much. We got to change the law so that we may stop exempting all these goods that are coming in because they're cheating. And a lot of goods are coming from the Uyghurs being produced with forced labor. So we have to hold them accountable.